Hi, everybody. How are you doing? I'm Dr. Gail, and this is Barbara Lamb. Thanks for joining us today. And we're going to be talking about hybrids. And let me introduce Barbara. Barbara is an experiencer, a past life therapist. She's a UFO expert and a crop circle researcher and lecturer. Anyway, Barbara, for me, I know her as she specializes in ET regression therapy. And for anybody who's having any kind of experiences with that, Barbara's the person to go to. So,
Well,
Paul,
thank you.
you're
Well,
welcome.
thanks for that. I do a lot of that, and I'm always amazed at how many new people come to me for regressions who have had experiences with these other beings.
Yes.
And many times they're not sure when they come. They just know that they've had some peculiar experiences, and in many cases, the people have wondered for years and years about what those experiences were, or was there more to it than what they consciously remembered? And it turns out that, yes, indeed, they really did have an encounter with these beings. And there's an amazing amount of things that happens in these encounters. And people can be very afraid of these encounters. They're afraid of what they're going to find out in the regression. And I certainly can understand that. And yet, what they find out usually is that it's not been a harmful or horribly frightening experience after all. And because you see, in the regressions, we go back to the incident that the person is wondering about with the sense of the person reliving that experience, not just looking at it from the past point of view.
Yeah,
But
that's what I do. I refer people who are seem to be traumatized by the event.
yeah,
And I'm always saying if you do a regression, you'll probably find out that it's not what you think it is. And
right.
that discovery is going to clear up a lot of that trauma. So I think
Yeah.
just knowing what happened is a huge help.
Yes, it really is, Gail. And because, when there's just a mystery about it, people have no idea what really occurred. Uh, they can write in all kinds of frightening things. And there's a lot of frightening stuff going around in the public about these aliens and these regressions and, you know, uh, but when people are actually having the sense of reliving an experience that they actually had in the past, um, it really takes on a whole different flavor.
I know, well,
And it's
the media does make it scary. I mean, even if you're
yeah,
thinking, "I'm not sure what happened to me," if you're looking at what's out there in the media, it's going to scare you, and you're going, "Okay, I lost control, and what happened to me?" And, so, yeah,
right.
that's why I do recommend the regression, and, of course, coming here into this channel, we're looking more at the positive side. We're not looking at the scary, sensationalism of what has
Right.
happened. We explore it in a different way.
Yes. Well, that's good. I think that's much more helpful for people. There's enough scary stuff going on in the world anyway, let alone to add to these really personal experiences. So most people feel that, having had a regression to an extraterrestrial encounter that they had, uh, that the whole thing of their being visited and taken by these beings is not as frightening as they had thought.
Right.
That they didn't need to be so frightened from then on, which is really helpful to be able to live without a whole lot of fear that you experience all the time. So it's a wondrous phenomenon, really. Um, from my point of view, it's extremely interesting. What the beings are like
Yeah.
and what they seem to be doing, what they want, and even in many cases, the communications that they give with the person who is having that encounter. And so the more that we can learn about them through these regressions, uh, the more we benefit, I feel. Yeah,
Yes.
it really broadens the picture. They're not just here to, be mean or to do horrible things to people. They're very interested in us humans, and many of them really focus on how we function physiologically. And
Right.
so they often, or many of them anyway, do examinations of people, and people usually start out by not liking that. I mean, after all, they hadn't made a doctor's appointment.
Also,
Agree?
they're not in control and don't know what's going on.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, they usually can't even move.
Right.
Uh, and it turns out that that's for their safety, the people's safety, and for the safety of the beings
Yeah.
conducting the physical exams. Uh,
Well, let me say hello to some people here that have joined us, and then we'll get into the actual hybrids. Okay.
okay.
Hi, Faye Cole. Thanks for being here. Hi, Isabel. Hey, Oxford Cat. Thanks for joining us. Hey, Mary Lau. See you. Oh, St. Paul, Minnesota. I know you must be getting some snow. Hey, Brenda. Thanks for being here. Hey, Chris MK. Oh, I'm glad you made it here. Oh, hey, Sandra Watt. Thanks for being here. Hey, Laura Huntzinger. Thanks for being here. And you're in Portland, Oregon. Liz, I see that you're in Portland, Oregon. Oh, is it raining there? It must be raining. Yeah, I heard the West Coast is getting a lot of rain. Are you getting a lot of rain, Barbara? You're on the West Coast.
No, we're not. We did have a little bit a couple of weeks ago, but not very much.
Okay.
We're usually sunny here. It's sunny today.
Well, there you go. Well, there's Linda Bishop. She's saying she's lurking. Um, and oh, she's choking and coughing. Oh, sorry, you've got that stuff that's going around. Hey, Catherine, thanks for being here. Hey, Emmy J Love, thanks for being here. Emmy J, you've added love to your name. I like it. Hey, Three Shifting Bells. Hey, Debbie, thanks for being here. And let's see, there's Bernadette. We won't be doing questions today. We're just going to be trying to get more information out of Barbara. She has so much to share with us. So mostly, I mean, I might pick out a question that's going to be something that she can answer, but when it comes to personal questions, I won't be answering that today. It'll be another day that I'll answer those questions for y'all. And hey, yet another Linda, thanks for being here. Oh, Bernadette, you've got a mountain of snow. Well, I'm saying all y'all can have that snow. When I was living in Mount Shasta, California, I had enough snow up to here. It was, and
I did too in the
I didn't want to move back to a place that I needed a snow shovel ever again. So, I have moved to where I don't need a snow shovel. So, but anyway, and basically, I thought the hardest part with that was pets. My dog had not experienced that much snow, and shoveling the snow out for her a path to get out, and she's intimidated because the snow's over her head. I thought that was the hardest part of being in the snow. But yeah, Barbara, I want to go into the hybrids, and you do a lot of work, and you do a lot of work with the hybrids. And one big question I want to ask before we even get started, because this is how I feel. I feel like the hybrids are here to help us integrate the extraterrestrials with the humans, or actually the humans with the extraterrestrials because they were here before us. So I
right.
feel a way of bringing us together for an easing into revealing who they are or who we are. And I didn't know how you felt about it. I know there's a lot of people who are like, oh, they're going to take over. And I'm going, if they want to take over, they would have already done it. I mean, it's nothing we could do to
Right.
stop.
Could have
But
easily done it.
yes,
Right. Well, I agree with you, Gail, that I think that they are here to absolutely help humanity. That's the whole reason for their being here, to raise the consciousness of humanity and to acquaint other humans with the fact that there really are these other beings of many, many types on many planets, and many of them do come here. I'm sure there are millions of types of beings who do not come here, who do not have anything to do with Earth, but there are quite a number of groups of these beings, species, shall we say, who really are very, very interested in humanity and very interested in our wonderful planet Earth. And they recognize that this planet is really special. We have so many different features. It's beautiful, for one thing, but we also have more species on this planet than any of the other planets put together have species.
Well,
So,
I have another
yeah,
question that leads up to all that. Because they've been here before us, before humans even developed.
I think
So,
so.
yeah, so I am trying I'm trying to organize my thoughts, which we try to think linear, and I'm trying to get out of that box and, and think bigger.
Difficult, yeah.
But if they were here before us, then we're all tend to be hybrids of some type or another. I know we're all star seeds because we all have their DNA. So how do you separate a hybrid? Because I know I'm a hybrid, but how do you separate the hybrid versus a star seed? And if they were actually here before us, I'm trying to figure out how the human DNA developed, and then we became hybrids. I'm trying to get all those ideas organized in my mind because especially all the ones that are living in inner Earth have been here way longer than we have, and so and I know we were probably put here. I know it. We're told that the Anunnaki developed us for slaves, and we developed from that, and then did that happen? They created the human, and then the extraterrestrials that are like inner Earth beings and the ones visiting, do they then just start jumping into the gene pool? Do you have any insight on that from your regression therapies you've done with people?
Well, it seems like you've just asked several questions.
My mind was just going, and all the questions were coming out at all the same time because I've been wondering these things, and as I progress through and trying to understand my own DNA and trying to understand what happened to me. That I mean, I understand what happened to me. They have shown me, and I've gotten my information, and I'm very fortunate to know that I'm the product of my mother could not have children at first,
Mm,
and then they came and assisted that, which I have done the same thing with other humans, where an extraterrestrial came and made a deal with her that they would let her have a hybrid children and she would get pregnant. And that
yeah.
was so it was the father DNA, human DNA, Arcturian DNA that was put in, and then that created me. And she was able to have her next child was a normal human child, and then
Hmm.
the third child was another hybrid. So she made a deal with them to be able to get pregnant. And I have been on that side also, where I've gone to women and who could not get pregnant and offered them the same thing, either to have a hybrid child or to be able to carry a hybrid child. So I was doing that work before I found out I was a hybrid. It made me open my mind and questioning what was going on and why, because they kept saying, the reason we have gotten you, or why we're working with you, is because you look human. They kept saying that over and over again, go, why me? I kept going, why me? Why me? And they kept going, you look human. You look human. Well, it did not all connect until I found out I was a hybrid. I could
Uh-huh.
I could get in and out of places because I looked human, but actually I had the extraterrestrial DNA. So my dots were connected through that. I was lucky that I've been fortunate to have my dots connected, but there's so many other people who do not have those dots connected, and
Right.
so how are you? How are you dealing with that? Or are you seeing a lot of that? I know there's different types of hybrids, and can you go into that explanation for people?
Sure. Well, first of all, I want to address what you were saying a couple of minutes ago, that we were all all human beings, as much as we know about this, that we were created long millions of years ago by these visiting beings who found a more what we call primitive life form here, and then they did uh, genetic work with them, and eventually, I think it must have taken quite a long period of time, but eventually, the offspring evolved into what we call humans, such as ourselves. So we all, in other words, most likely, as far as we can tell, have extraterrestrial DNA in us. Now, in addition to that, what everybody has, there are people who are created in these years now, these decades, which we call hybrids, even though we're all hybrids from way back. But there's a new effort going on too, that certain people are created as sort of, we might say, extra hybrids, more amplified hybrids, additionally added to with extraterrestrial DNA. So that's all been happening in our lifetimes. And so those hybrids are people, are souls, basically, who have decided that, yes, that would be fine to come into this lifetime and serve in a special way, serve as a hybrid. And so there are a couple of dramatically different parts of the whole hybrid program. And I think no matter which species is involved in doing that hybrid program, there are the hybrids that are created that have much more extraterrestrial DNA and a little bit of human DNA. And those are the hybrids that are going to remain on the ship with the other beings and not live here on Earth. They would not be able to live here on Earth. They're
To survive on Earth.
Yeah, they couldn't survive. And then, so that's one part of the hybrid program that is going on nowadays. And then the other part is the hybrids that are created in order specifically to live on Earth and to serve on Earth. That means to be here to help humanity, to help raise the consciousness of humanity. And so that would be one like you. You would be one type, and I have certainly met many other people too who are living on Earth as people, and yet they have a portion of more recent genetic DNA from the beings. And very often, at least with the hybrids whom I have come to know and really work with, they have DNA from not just one type of extraterrestrial being, but usually DNA from 2 or 3, 4, 5, or 6 different species.
That's what I'm finding also.
Beings. That's what?
That's what I find also. In fact, I think it's extreme common one is the Palladian Arcturian mixed with human.
Right. And some people have a Palladian, Arcturian, Andromedan,
Syrian.
Zeta,
Yeah.
Zeta Reticuli even.
Yeah. Well, Brenda has a cute question that I'm going to answer. She says, what did the ETs call us? And Brenda, I'm going to say something about it because it's kind of funny. When I first heard what they called us, I hesitated at first, but they call us a bag of water. We're a bag of water. And I was offended at first until I realized we are made mostly of water, and they're like little skinny little things, and they don't contain as much water as we do, but and this is only one species. This was on the great hybrid spaceship, and they said, "Oh yeah, humans are just a bag of water."
Well, not just a bag of water, but I think that that's probably accurate. And of course, we don't have that kind of perspective about ourselves
Right.
because we are so accustomed to just thinking of humans
Yeah.
and not comparing ourselves with any other types. But they definitely have a different perspective, and they have, in so many cases, examined people really in detail, and so they, some of the species have really learned a lot about how we function physiologically from the examinations that they do by people who are taken on board the ships. So, okay, let's talk first about the hybrid beings whom many people have as children, whether they're aware of it or not, and those are the hybrids who will always live on the ship or maybe on a different planet with the beings whose genetics they mostly have, because they are not human enough in proportion to come and live here on the earth. But they'll have their whole lives with the other beings. And many of our human mothers who have had hybrid children who are going to live on the ship, many of them actually get to know those children and have a long, maybe decades long relationship with them, starting with when they are just a newborn baby born on the craft, not because the mother is on the craft, but because the hybrid baby has been created by the beings with the eggs from the human mother and sperm from the human man. And then the beings mix that together, creating an embryo. And then they add their genetics of one or two or three or more types of extraterrestrial beings. And then that little embryo is placed in the mother here on Earth in one of these encounters. And she is usually not aware of that. She is out of conscious awareness when these things are happening. And so she gestates that little hybrid embryo for maybe 1.5 or 2.5 months or so. And then that little embryo is removed by the beings, again, without the mother's awareness. So she had been feeling pregnant for a couple of months, and she had usually had that verified by a doctor. Yes, indeed, you are pregnant. And assuming that that pregnancy would continue. But after a couple of months or so, one day the woman wakes up and realizes, wow, I don't feel the same anymore. I don't feel pregnant. And she'll usually have that confirmed by her doctor as well. And of course, they don't know what happened to that pregnancy. They're not aware that beings from somewhere else came here and took that little embryo, that developing into a fetus from the mother. So it's kind of a mystery. But anyway, in that case, and this is happening, I think, to millions of women all over the world. And so that little embryo is taken onto the ship by the beings and put in a tank. People who have had regressions and have seen that tank, it looks like a glass tank of some sort of fluid, which is gestational fluid. And the little embryo is gestated and grows into a fetus and develops, the full 9 months, and then is removed from that glass tube, or I should say it's more like a tank shape, and then lives life there on the ship, wrapped up in
Right.
clothing, and is raised there on the ship and will probably live the whole lifetime on that ship with the beings, or in some cases on the planet of those beings.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question about the men, because the men, I know you hear some men get to go up and see their hybrid children also. Some people
Yes,
get to go and see them.
right,
But also, you also hear men being taken on board and are asked to perform with the woman,
right, right,
extraterrestrial woman, to
right.
hybrid children that way. So the
Yes,
men use differently. One's to collect their sperm, and the other is to mate with an extraterrestrial. Anything
right.
else that you know of or heard of or regress somebody back about? So yeah,
I definitely have.
yeah.
I've regressed a few men to that situation where they're taken on board and put into a special room. Sometimes the beings have made it look like a human bedroom.
And a human woman too.
Yeah, yes. And then the extraterrestrial female who comes into the room to mate with the human male, that female um, sometimes is made to look absolutely gorgeous from our human point of view. One man was really taken with the woman who was brought into the room on the ship with him. And what didn't that room didn't look like a bedroom particularly, but um, just sort of a bed, almost like a massage table bed type of thing, and nothing else decorative to suggest a bedroom. But anyway, he was put on the table, and into the room came a very gorgeous, exotic looking woman. He really was absolutely amazed. He was overcome with the beauty of this female. And she mounted the table and mounted him. And during the sexual act, uh, her whole human like image sort of faded. She changed into what she really was, which was a reptilian female. And this man um, was so incredibly traumatized by this that he wasn't even able to be involved sexually with his wife uh, for years after that, until we did the regression and found out what that was all about, that great inhibition that he had. And they were able to be a normal couple again. But anyway, sometimes the person, the male, is taken into the bedroom looking setting, and a female will come in, and she doesn't look extraterrestrial usually. Either she's the type of being that is very human looking anyway, or it may be just a screen image that's put on her to look more human. And sometimes that woman will retain that human look through the whole encounter, but sometimes not. And so, anyway, they have different ways of doing this, making sure that, excuse me, that these babies are created. And I think they're very, very skilled at doing this,
Yeah.
very convincing to the man that it's okay to do this.
Yeah.
You know, even if he's happily married at home and has his own children and so forth.
They just kind of disregard that. They don't even think about that part of it. But I need to speak to a few people. Hey, Terry, she's in the chat right now. Hey, Stephen Smith, I've seen that you've been putting some good questions in. And Linda Bishop, thanks for being here. And a few of you that have snuck in that I haven't said hello to, hi, and thanks for being here. We are talking about hybrids. And Barbara is a regression therapist that specializes in extraterrestrial contact. And so, anyway, so we're going into those kind of things, those kind of contexts, and how the hybrids are created. And now, we throw the term around hybrids and star seeds kind of interchangeably. So
Yeah, there is a difference, however.
yeah,
Uh,
I
the-
and and for me, just to get the real simple, I'm gonna ask you to give a better definition. I just say as simple as, all right, the star seeds have extraterrestrial DNA in them. However, hybrids are like almost like extraterrestrials or aliens walking around in human skin, but not exactly. But that's kind of like the extreme of the difference, and that's where I kind of people to understand it. And I know that's not correct, but that's just how I separate it for people to kind of get a grasp of what we're talking about.
Right. And there's another distinguishing feature as well, and that is that the star seeds, as far as we have been able to determine with the ones that we know, they had actually been extraterrestrials in previous lifetimes. They're fully human now, but they had been an extraterrestrial, maybe a number of different types of extraterrestrials in various lifetimes before this one. So they have that heritage and they have that long term connection with certain groups of extraterrestrials, particularly the groups that they were one of in more recent lifetimes. But now they are human, living here. They were born here. They certainly look like human beings, act like human beings, function like human beings, and yet they have had that heritage, that extraterrestrial lineage. And that means that because of that, they have an empathy for the beings and an understanding of the beings and acceptance of the beings. And they are here to help raise the consciousness of humanity, definitely, and also to acquaint humanity with the extraterrestrial beings. And it's very comfortable for them to do that because they have that as their own heritage. So usually, star seeds may not realize for many, many years that they are actually having occasional contact with the extraterrestrial beings. Some of them are aware of that all along throughout their lives, and some of them are not until well into their adult years. But there is a connection, and is an appreciation for those beings and an empathy. So they're a good bridge between us and those beings, helping humanity to know more about those beings
So,
as they are going about their life of helping to raise spirituality and raise the consciousness of humanity.
okay, well, I have a question about that. So, the star seeds are being contacted also by their extraterrestrial families. And
Yes,
so, the difference, and also they don't know their star seeds all the time, but hybrids don't either. They don't always know that they're hybrids. And so, what would be like the distinguishing thing that you've seen in regressions for a hybrid contact versus a star seed contact with their extraterrestrial families, or I guess it would be families?
yes, yes. I think we could say that definitely not exactly in the same way that we have families here
Yeah.
on Earth, but belonging together. Yeah, really being related. Um, so the uh, in both cases, the hybrids and the starseeds may not have any identifying recognition of being a starseed or a hybrid until sometime in their adult years. Like, for instance, with the hybrids whom Miguel Mendonça and I wrote about in the book Meet the Hybrids. Um, all 8 of them um, did not know that they were hybrids until they were, in the 20s or 30s. And but in the meantime, they always experienced that they themselves seemed very different than all of the other humans around them. like even more different than anybody else in their own family. And they always felt that somehow they didn't understand how this was, but that somehow their real family was out there in space
Yeah.
rather than here. So when they would say that to their human family, the human family didn't like that, of course, sort
Right.
of being denied. And they would always reassure the person that, oh, yes, you're definitely our family. I watched you being born.
Yeah.
You definitely are here in our family. And yet the person always had that sense, somehow their real family, their true family was out there in space. And most of them really missed that family. They didn't know exactly who they were missing, but they felt it. They felt missing my real family out there in space. And they very often wanted to have contact. Also, these hybrids living on Earth had many contacts with these beings. They actually got to know them over a period of years whenever the beings would visit them. And they were very, very happy about those visits rather than fearing them. And all along, since their very earliest days of their lives, they had special abilities that most human children do not have. They had the whole range of psychic abilities, and they had healing abilities. And even as little kids, if they saw a wounded bird or a wounded animal or something, they'd rush right over and hold that bird or animal and just emit healing energy and actually bring that being, that bird or that animal, back to full health and full ability to live its life. And they noticed that other people they knew didn't do this, but they
Yeah.
just had that instinct. If somebody needed healing, they would go ahead and healing it, even if the one needing the healing was their own mother or father having been injured in some way. They would just immediately go into sending energy from their hands and healing that injury. So they're quite remarkable children, and nobody else in the family of those children was like that. But this hybrid child was in each case. So it's very interesting to see the reactions of the parents or even siblings of these hybrids who definitely recognize there's something really quite different about this particular one. This particular one might look fully human and act human in many, many ways. And indeed, I mean, they really are human, but they have, a good portion of extraterrestrial genetics that have been given to them. And
Right.
they recognize, uh, even at a fairly early age, that they are here to serve humanity. Now, that doesn't mean that everybody around them, even in their own family, has that strong conviction that they themselves are here to serve humanity. But the hybrid child does have that sense and has all these wonderful abilities. And they grow up to give a lot of service to humanity. They do it through lectures or writings or podcasts or um, holding conferences and sharing information about the extraterrestrial beings and about the universe and about the nature of consciousness and that there are many spiritual dimensions helping to increase people's spiritual awareness as well. And they do many, many things to serve. Now, that's true of the star seeds too. They are here to serve and help humanity raise the consciousness of humanity. I think the big difference is that the hybrids have a certain proportion of extraterrestrial genetics in them. And the star seeds are more distinguished by having had past lives.
Right.
It's extraterrestrials. They may have some genetics too, but usually not to the extent that the hybrids do.
Well, I've got Leah who's asked a question, and I'm not
Okay.
sure if she's just coming in late or what. Leah says, can either of you, which I'm finding this funny, Leah, I don't mean to laugh at you, can either of you tell if you're engaging with a hybrid? Well, right now we're engaging with a hybrid because, Leah, I am a hybrid, and I just talked about it earlier in the show, and Barbara knows a lot of hybrids and engages with a lot of hybrids and regresses back a lot of hybrids, and,
Right.
and even written books with hybrids. Well, actually, I guess Sheila Seppi was a walk-in, not a
Yeah.
hybrid.
Yes, that's right.
So,
That's a whole other category too.
yeah.
But yeah, so I know these people who are hybrids as regular, wonderful people. And they're very bright. They're very talented. They look totally human because they are born here from a human mother.
Okay.
And they have been created by the beings combining the mother's eggs and the father's sperm with their genetics, the extraterrestrial genetics. But in the case of the ones who live here, they were carried full term in the mother's womb and born in the same way that we all are born and grow up with other children who were born here. And so nobody would think too much about it. And they, of course, look fully human. And except that they do have all these special abilities that may make them stand out. And for
Well,
instance,
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Barbara, but I was going to say, just interrupt with when you're talking about the DNA on each of them. That was very specific on what we did when, if we delivered a baby that looked like an extraterrestrial, had more extraterrestrial looking DNA, they might be the same genetic makeup, but it's one that would stay on the spaceship or go back to their original planet or star. The one
right,
that looked human would go to a human family. We'd adopt out to a human family. So because they could survive on Earth and they could blend in and they could mingle with as a human. They might be an odd human, but they could fit in. So
right,
I experienced that where I was going and taking these human looking babies and going to families and asking if they would adopt them. Their adoption papers would look just like normal. They could take it up legally, no issues with it. But the things that the babies, when they had these hybrid babies, or that they would have special needs, and the special needs was they had a formula that they would have that would develop for a year until the baby could eat regular food, human food. They would have
right,
a special formula for a year, and they could not be exposed to anything other than the parents for that year. There was a whole big list of things that had accommodate for that human hybrid baby to survive. That
mm,
that the parents had to agree to adopt them. So it
mm.
was not like the human hybrid could immediately exist without some special care for a whole year.
Well, that's interesting. That's sort of another aspect of this whole phenomenon.
Right.
The ones that I am more familiar with are the ones who were born here to a particular family, from which the mother had had eggs taken and the sperm
Yeah,
had
and this is
taken
what
from the
the
father.
ones you're talking about are the ones that are born to that mother. I'm actually talking about the adoption program that goes along with that. They're being born. I'm not sure where they're getting them because they just hand me the baby and put them on. In fact, the first one they handed me, I'm sitting there looking at this human baby in my arms and going, "Are y'all asking me to raise this?" That was my
Mm,
first question.
right,
Okay, no, you're taking it to this family in California. So, um,
right.
but
So
yeah,
that's another aspect
another
of
aspect
the
of it.
hybrid. program.
Right.
The ones I am more familiar with is where they were actually born from a mother and father here on
Right.
Earth. Now, sometimes uh, a hybrid is created with a human mother and then a male, but the male may not be the father. I
Hmm.
mean, I mean, he may not be the father in that family. He may be in some totally other family. The woman doesn't even know that person, that male.
Oh,
Um,
here's GP's just got this question.
yeah,
So
uh,
hybrids are 100% human mother, 100% human father, 100% ET directly injected in that 100% human fertilized egg. Well, let's break this down for her. I'm the math person here. Let's go 33% and 33% and 33%. And directed 100% into human fertilized egg, into a human egg. So
right.
what do you have to say about that, Barbara? I think she's got the concept.
Yes, well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if anybody does really know how to break it all down into percentages, but we do know that there are these different types. Now, I just want to throw in here that hybridization is a really, really big program in the universe, that there are many species who create hybrids with other extraterrestrial species. And some of them create hybrids with us humans.
Yeah.
But it's a much, much bigger program than that which involves us. And there is a principle in the universe, I have been told, that when you diversify, the mixture of species, you get bigger, stronger, longer lasting
Right.
beings coming out of that mixture. And there are theories that that's true here on Earth too.
Right.
If you mix a black species with white or Asian with Western, for instance, um, that that you get some really lovely, lovely looking from the human point of view beings and very bright, very talented, very strong. And so even we have a hybrid program here too,
Right.
by people deciding to marry each other from very different cultures and races and parts of the world. And apparently it's going on all over the universe as
Right.
well, with one species combining with another
Yeah.
or
Well, I
with
say
more than one.
the first spaceship I worked on was called the Ashtar Medical One, and it was a hybrid spaceship, and it was a hybrid spaceship of all different species. Um,
Ah,
and so I'm writing, I'm in the middle of writing my third book right now, and what I just wrote about yesterday was the one that I met was a combination of an ant human, and and
ah,
and that was who I went to high school and college with, was this ant human, and I was describing her. So there's all sorts of different type of hybrids out there, and that
yes.
one I hadn't even remembered her. What's common? I knew she was a hybrid, but couldn't remember. For I had to go through all my books and my notes to figure out. Going, I know who was it? What kind of combination was it that I went to college with? And that was an ant human, and she
Well, I
had
wonder. I
piercing
wonder.
red eyes.
I wonder how she fared.
She
Being here in a human
she would
situation.
she didn't work on Earth. We were going uh, there. The school that they had us going to, we were paired together because we were both communication specialists. And so the colleges or the high school, we were about 16 when we started. And so it's different spaceships. You will do like a 6-week course here in the spaceship. Then you go up to this spaceship and do another course and this course. And you go up and it's almost like a college campus where you're going to class to class to class. And
Wow.
she and I were paired up. I would specialize in medical, and then she specialized in, I can't remember what the proper term is, but the mapping of the stars and moon and sun and earth, all those planets. She did all that. But she did not live on Earth. She was on the spaceship where I met her. And I think she came from wherever um, planet or star she came from, it was there. She did not live on Earth. She would not have survived on Earth. She would not have. She could not pass as human.
Yeah. Well, how fascinating that you knew her.
Yeah, and oh gosh, yes. And talk about because being human or human looking when you're going and meeting these different extraterrestrials, I am not, I would say, frowned upon kind of a little bit because of that's how I write about her in the beginning is she was a typical mean girl that when she first
Mhm.
met me and saw that I was human, it was like, oh my gosh, a human. I'm dealing with a human. And so so yeah, so that's how I mean we became best friends, but it took a little bit of ice breaking because also, the insectoids and the ants people and all those, they're very high IQ. So
Yeah.
when you're looking at a human, I guess they're kind of looking at me like I'm an ape coming in there. But yes,
Right. Quite retrograde comparatively.
yes, exactly.
Mhm.
So
Yes.
So anyway, but yeah, I've seen all sorts of different extraterrestrials. And in fact, when I was on the astromedical one, my surgical suite, we would adapt it to what species we were working on. Like humans, I had like this forest and flowers and birds and things. When it came to reptilians, it was a more of a deserty scene that we would. So it was whatever they were comfortable with, but it was
Right.
all sorts of different extraterrestrial hybrids on that spaceship.
Ah, yeah. I'd like to mention for your listeners that there's a wonderful set of two books called Rachel's Eyes. And Rachel was a hybrid who was living here on Earth and was growing up here and had been created actually by humans having extraterrestrial bodies secretly and extraterrestrial DNA and creating this girl called Rachel. And she uh, was in college and she was the roommate of the daughter of the author of the book,
Oh, okay.
Helen Luttrell. And it describes how she always had very black wraparound sunglasses on. She never let people see her eyes, even her own roommate. And she was brought special food, not not very human like food, special food that she could digest um, by a man in the military who was part of that project that created her, Rachel. And anyway, it's a very, very interesting book. Reads kind of like a novel, but it's not a novel, it's true. And so I just recommend that. There's Rachel's Eyes, book one, and also book two, which explains more about who Rachel really was and
Mhm.
how it came into being. Anyway, if anybody's particularly interested, uh, I definitely recommend that. And the information came out of the hypnotic regressions that a wonderful therapist named June Steiner did. I knew June Steiner, and I really recommend her work. Yeah. So anyway, I think all over the world, we no doubt have hybrids in different cultures. And how much is known about that? I don't think very much is known about it, but maybe because it's coming out here in this country more, um, it might become more of a known phenomenon in other parts of the world as well. But I
What
would
my
think,
first book, I write a lot about my experiences with hybrid program.
oh,
But
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
so quite a few chapters on my different experiences with that.
Oh, that's great. I think the more that comes out about these things, the better. I mean,
Hmm.
it's part of reality. It's part of what we actually live with. whether we're aware of it or not, just like the other beings are very much part of our reality. And, people can easily go into fear about the other beings and all these crafts that people are reporting having sightings of.
Yeah.
It's so easy to think, oh no, you know, we're going to be taken over. And I don't think that that is the case at all.
No.
I don't worry about that for one moment. What I do worry about is that certain parts of our government might use the viewing of these crafts that we don't recognize as a threat and try to stir up some sort of Star Wars
Yeah.
episode as if we are in danger. And I don't think that's the case. I think the ones that are here flying around, at least many of them, are here in a very helpful way.
Hmm.
They're very concerned about our nuclear
Oh,
capability, and they have certainly been known to turn off the nuclear missiles in some of our missile silos. Not only in this country, although it's definitely happened here, but
yeah.
in
Have
some
you
of
ever
the
regressed?
countries as well.
Yeah. Have you ever regressed anybody who had any any participation in seeing the ETs take disarm a nuclear weapon?
No, I haven't regressed anybody to that sort of experience, but I've definitely heard reports from people who have witnessed that.
Right.
A man named Michael Sala, Michael Salas, is part of that. He actually personally witnessed a UFO over a missile base in Maelstrom, uh, Montana, I think it is, and he actually witnessed this big UFO over the nuclear missile base,
Hmm.
and 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 that UFO was turning off the nuclear weapons so they could not be fired at anybody. And there are reports that that sort of thing from UFOs have happened in Russia and North Korea. I certainly hope so. Hope that those reports are true.
Well,
So, in other words, a lot of the beings come
right.
in crafts and really to protect us, not to harm us, but to protect us from ourselves.
Yeah. Skywatch signal saying he is a friend of his.
Good, good.
So
Yeah.
maybe he can give us some insight. Did he write books or anything about it, or just talked about it?
I don't know if he's written a book, but I think it's Robert Salas, I think is his name. Anyway, I've heard interviews by him
Right.
talking about this. He's been interviewed quite a bit. I don't know if he's actually written a book.
So his interviews. Okay. Well,
Yeah,
Barbara, coming up to an hour here. It's gone quickly, and we've always enjoyed having you here.
it flies by.
Yes. All right. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. Thanks for moderators for making this a safe place. And my next show will be Saturday, and this will be the Solaris Healing Center. We'll be doing some energy healings and talking about some medical issues. So that'll be Saturday at 9 o'clock Pacific time, 12 o'clock Eastern time. And thanks everybody for being here, and we will see you later. Thanks again, Barbara.
You're
And
welcome.
all right. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye bye.